Hi, everybody. Fakeologist show here. Fakeologist debate series. We're going to try and have a debate with a good friend of mine, someone I really like his work, and he's been on my show a few times. And even though sometimes he gets a little triggered by some of my views, we're still cordial. We still like to talk. And even though I'm semi-anonymous and he's fully disclosed, the one and only Johnny Cirucci from johnnycirucci.com is in the house on Zoom. Hello, Johnny.
Love you, pal. Thank you for doing this.
No
I kind
problem.
of got cornered, roped in, blackmailed, threatens to debate Dustin Nemos on whether or not it's the Jews.
Yeah.
And so we went back and forth, and you've been privy to this email. And he said, all right, I said, okay, listen, if I'm doing this, I need you to come to my house because I have no idea who you are. And I really don't want to bother with this. I said, fine, I'll go to your house, but I need a moderator. And I was like, okay, the only guy that comes to my mind is the Fakeologist, who has moderated at least two, right? Jim and John, what's his name? Did you also moderate another debate that we did?
Jim, for sure. But I don't know if it were there any of them official debates, or you just came on to the show to discuss?
Just we hung out as two of us together, and it ended up being me saying one thing and them saying another thing, which kind of loosely qualifies as a debate. It's all good. It's all good.
So right now
you were my man.
Yeah.
You agreed and thrilled.
No,
this is not your regular time. Love you for taking your time out for that.
I don't mind. I always make exceptions for exceptional guests like yourself.
Appreciate you, pal.
No problem at all. I don't.
Here's one thing I love about Tim is
he's anonymous.
He'll go and he'll bring Jim on, and he'll bring No Nukes Phil, and he'll bring whoever else, and it'll be Jews, and eventually Tim will go, okay, so get Cirucci back on here. Can we have anybody, somewhere,
some balance,
that's gonna give a contrarian point of view, please, somebody, anywhere.
And you're the only one on the internet, Eric John Phelps. He was before you that I heard. Eric John Phelps from days ago.
Tim goes through his Rolodex, doesn't blame Jews. There's one name. Boop, Cirucci. That's it. One name pops up. That's it.
You're the only one, and that is strictly the Jesuit order of the Catholic Church.
All roads still lead to Rome. All roads still lead to Rome. I have a ton of if Dustin, just for whatever reason, is not here at 1, I've got a ton of notes. We'll just go through my notes.
That's fine.
I've got a ton of notes. Crazy things that I pulled up about Rothschild, Khazaria, BlackRock, just crazy stuff. I am ready in the holsters. But I'm running Lone Ranger in the background for the dogs. I've got both 6 guns on both hips.
I wonder if I need a bell to. I have a bell here. Let me get my soundboard up here.
That works. Sting at any time.
I'm gonna get a bell or a horn. Maybe I'll do a bell first and then a horn. We're
20 minutes in.
That's the bell.
I sent the invite. At 12:30.
It's okay.
Still waiting.
That's I sent him a message too to that effect. Let's see. So I'll get my timer up and I'll read the rule. So we got the bell. We got 2 bells and we got the 3 bells. Okay, so we got that. What else do we have? We got
serious.
You got somebody?
Yeah.
Got the air horn. Okay, good. Okay, you're gonna have to do everything with the Zoom.
Got it.
I can't even see the Zoom. Where's my Zoom? Okay, he's muted.
You got it?
I see. He's muted. Okay.
Still muted. Lower left-hand corner. There you go.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Fakeologist here. Fakeologist, first name Tim here. Dustin, nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Okay.
Pleasure to meet you. Right. And we're actually live on my YouTube channels, my my FakeoTube channel, my own private host. And so we are, everything you can say or will say could be revealed to the world because we are streaming live right now.
Okay.
Cool.
We're just going to start now, or do you guys want to
Sure,
wait?
we can. Is everybody, Tim, you ready?
How's the audio?
Yeah, you sound good. I got my
Don't mind.
time bell. That means your time is up. But I wanted to read the original email, then I wanted to read the rules.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
And see if we agree on that.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm the Fakeologist. I'm here in Toronto, and Johnny is somewhere in I think Virginia. And Dustin, where are you hailing from?
Florida.
Oh, Florida. Nice. So I'm the Canadian peacemaker, as it were.
Some of this is going to be illegal where you're at. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, right.
I don't know about that. I've heard about it, and I hear about people
Possibly.
allegedly going to jail, but I'm not the one promoting anything other than open debate. I don't think that's illegal in my country yet. So
Okay.
I think you're allowed to talk about certain things, just not encourage anything that's so-called hateful.
Yeah. Well, Facebook in Canada is not allowed to run news, something ridiculous like that.
Well, I think the main idea there is our government likes to have Canadian news. And I think what happened was what many of these platforms do is they'll take a feed from a news source and not compensate financially. So it's really all about commerce. So in other words, they'll take a news story, bring it into Facebook. You'll read it on Facebook. They'll get the ad revenue, and the original source will get nothing. I think it has more to do with that. I think.
As a cynic, I would say it almost certainly has to do with control of information, especially coming from Castro, Trudeau, son of Trudeau.
Well, he's gone now.
They're Jews, right? Oh, cheap shot. They're the Catholics.
No, he's gone. He's gone. Trudeau is gone.
Yeah,
he's running around with his boyfriend, Katy Perry.
Feudalism.
Okay.
There'll be another one, I'm sure.
Okay, so let me read.
He's kind of exposed for cannibalism as well, wasn't
he? Cannibalism, really? Wow.
Yes.
Now, if that doesn't get us
with Katy Perry in France, as I heard, at a restaurant known for such things.
Oh wow! Thanks for telling me, because I have a sort of a different type of guest on Sunday nights who exposes cannibalism among the elites, and that's really way off for my.
Yeah, it is, and I would imagine that's damn near impossible to prove.
Yeah.
So that'd be my goal, is to stay anchored and.
Well, a lot of this stuff came out in the Epstein files. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio's basically running from the cameras because he was also called a cannibal in the Epstein files.
What exactly when you say Epstein files, do you mean a specific Epstein email, or?
I don't remember the one off the top of my head, but yes, I shared the evidence on my news channel.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Jewish or Catholic?
Oh, hold on a second.
And he got put on into orbit, starting off with a
revolving door with those two.
Homosexual movie, soft porn, homosexual softcore porn, and then he went and he met with Pope Francis, and right after that he got his whatever. He's got his Oscar or his. So for me personally, it's more proof that it's all roads still lead to Rome. But
okay,
let's get started.
Let me start the debate. Okay, this I believe is a part from an email from Dustin. It says here, to clarify, I have an open debate challenge. I stand by it. And my audience was instructed to challenge those who were controlled or even simply mistaken. This playing out in this exchange is exactly my intention, to call out the entire world, since I am the only one man and cannot do it myself. But I also solo destroy anyone who dares stand against the truth we bring. And if you think you can debate me, so be it. I accept. If you don't, I already called you out on my debates page. Okay, so this is just I'll leave out the next little part because I think you're talking directly to Johnny here. I thought this was just your general.
Tim,
we can go back to the format part.
Yeah, let's go back to the format.
And we'll wait. So how did we get here?
How do we get here? Yeah, that's right.
We got here because an apparent fan of Dustin, someone that I've not is aware of my work. I would say he's more of a fan of Dustin than he is of mine. Jacob just appeared out of nowhere in my email and recommended that I take Dustin up on his challenge. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't need this. But Jacob pulled me in, and then Dustin kind of put me in a corner and said, no, you've been recommended. Now you're going to do this, or I'm going to call you a coward. So I'm like, come on, man. Come on.
You did say you could beat me in your show. So I have to kinda,
I get emotional. Now, honestly, if I did that, Dustin, it was because I got pulled in first.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm all for friendly debate.
We're here.
So I'm not here
It's
adversarial.
Johnny
I just want to share
okay.
the truth of the seed war.
Johnny is very emotional. He's I wouldn't call him hot-headed, but he's
that's fair.
But so many people in this space get really excitable. I'm less excitable because I don't think that I know the truth. I don't really have a dog in this hunt. As I told Johnny in part of the email thread, I'm not a Jew. I'm not a Jesuit. I'm not a Freemason. I'm not a Roman Catholic. I'm not really affiliated with any religion that I can think of. If I had to go to a church, it would probably be a Protestant church, though, because they are sort of the dominant churches in the Toronto area. Maybe Presbyterian was the biggest, but that would be it. But I never attended church. Neither did my parents. Neither did their parents. So I'm very non-aligned.
You may be a Nephilim, though.
I may be a Nephilim. Whatever I am, I think I belong to the majority, at least in my area, where I'm none of the above. If there was a thing to check, so I really.
Right, so Dustin wants the rules. Basically, the rules.
Yeah,
and then we'll kick this off.
Okay. Does that sound good though? Does that sound like I'm fairly impartial?
Yeah.
I
trust you as impartial. That's why I recommended you.
Okay. Strict rules. Now, I think these are written by you, Johnny.
Yeah, I can summarize. It's just basically order. Just maintain order.
Okay.
Let's not talk over each other. I will do my best to keep my Italian at bay.
Yeah.
If there's a point of order, if someone feels like they're being misrepresented, you can say, hey, wait a minute, that's not what I said.
Okay.
Just basic order, just order. So I expect to be on the defensive. This is why I asked Dustin to allow me to make an opening statement.
Okay. Are we going to have time limits just for balance?
We can. I mean, it's obvious. I would say, Dustin, it's obvious if somebody's running on. Give the other guy
but then they might get aggravated.
Do you have a time limit beyond? Like, it would take 4 hours with just general conversation.
Oh my goodness, yeah, no. Let's try to cap it at 2 hours.
Oh yeah, 2 hours, please, because the sun is just
limits. Then
yeah, and
so I could do a timer.
I would also ask. Like I said, I expect to be on the defensive. So if you have multiple accusations, let's just make one accusation at a time. Allow me to defend the one accusation, and we'll move on from that.
Can we just do 5 minutes each way?
Sure.
And what I'll do is I don't have a mute button. Johnny has the mute button because you're using Zoom.
We shouldn't need to forcibly mute somebody. We're cordial here, and honestly, it doesn't have to be a strict 5 minutes. I would say point counterpoint works too.
But I'm going to time it anyway because sometimes people do go on and they lose track of time.
Can we just do like intro and then opening statement basically, and then
move
into like
but that'll be 5 minutes each.
Points, counterpoints, like
so.
Nobody should go more than 5. Nobody should go 5 minutes. That's too long.
Okay.
Nobody's going to go 5 minutes.
Okay, but if you do, you'll get this bell at the 4-minute 30-second mark. You'll get this bell at the 4-minute 45-second mark, and this bell at the 5-minute mark, and then you'll get this bell at the 5-minute and 15-second mark. And I'll just keep pressing that until you stop.
Sing out bell because I'm not hearing those bells.
I don't hear them.
We're not hearing. Just
wait,
sing out.
You didn't
bell.
hear
just
the bells?
Ding.
Oh no,
we don't hear them.
We're not hearing your bells. Just go ding. Listen, I take the hit on that. This is probably because you're going through my Zoom.
Oh, that's really annoying. Okay, well that's probably okay.
Just go ding. Just say ding.
Ding, ding-a-ling. Okay, so I'm sorry you didn't hear that. That's annoying. Okay, all right. So who wants the opening statement?
So just for me to set my foundation here, I want to do. Dustin's allowed me to do an opening. Of course, Dustin, you get one as well. My point was, I'm kind of astounded in relation to Dustin seems to have the point of view that he's the one guy out there that has all the goods on the Jews. That's everybody, dude. There's nobody. I mean, Tim and I were talking offline earlier that there's nobody that doesn't blame Jews. All the big names blame Jews, all the way up to the premier independence news guy, Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
He's out there blaming Jews. He's out there saying that Netanyahu is manipulating the United States in war. Candace Owens, she should have no credibility. She's what? She's Catholic. All the biggest names out there are blaming Jews. And so my purview is on this. Does it not make sense? If you own everything, if you rule the world, if you've ruled the world for centuries, you own it all, you've got all the money, you've got all the technology, you've got all the governments in your back pocket. What do you want to do? The very first thing you want to do is disappear. The very first thing you want to do is disappear. What's the next thing you want to do? The next thing you want to do is you want to grab a patsy and shove them into the spotlight. I submit that's my point of view. That's exactly what we're seeing today. Jews. Who is really in control is Rome. They're experts at it for millennia, literally thousands of years. And knowing that they wanted to first become invisible and then second provide patsies, that's why we're seeing this absolute frenzy of blaming Jews. And I just wanted to set that as my foundation, is where I'm coming from. So I yield my opening statement back to Dustin.
All right.
Thank you. I'm Dustin Nemos, pastor at Uncensored Church. I like to say I'm no one, but what I have to say will change you. And I'm glad you brought up Tucker and Candace. The big names are finally starting to copy us early noticers that built the noticing, so to speak, this movement to maintain their credibility in their controlled opposition. I can show examples of both Tucker and Candace using my talking points. I've been talking for years about how there is a corpse that we stole in Iraq, and it's basically the Mummy movie without all the mythology elements and fireball junk. And we used the pretext of weapons of mass destruction to go in there and steal that ancient corpse of Nimrod. And now Candace Owens is talking about it, etc. After I talked about Daniel 11, a week or two later, Tucker Carlson was beginning to talk about Daniel 11. So, I can even show Tucker Carlson subscribes to my website. None of these people want to admit it, but everyone knows who I am, and almost all of them have me blocked on places like Twitter and refuse to engage with me. Now, with that said, I'm here to represent the seed war doctrine. I'm neither Protestant nor Eastern Orthodox, nor am I Catholic, the Scarlet Whore of Babylon. I am what's known as Nazarene, which is the kind of Christian who keeps the law that Christ died to bring back to fullness, not to fulfill a false interpretation. He actually died to bring the law back in a time of Talmud. He was preaching Torah and died for it. But that's a whole different debate. I'm here to essentially represent Genesis 3:15, Genesis 6, the Jews as the Nephilim, as the enemies of God, which is why God hated them and said, leave nothing alive in the Old Testament, etc. And Genesis 3:15, God promised war between the seed of the woman, the seed of the serpent. Genesis 6, we see where they came from, the fallen angels, the watchers mating with human women. The flood was caused because Noah was pure in his generations or genetics in a time of all flesh being, quote, corrupted, end quote. And then after the flood, the Canaanites, which were six-fingered giants like Goliath, where he comes from, God said, leave nothing alive. That's a quote, man, woman, and child. And King Saul was replaced by King David, the giant killer, because King Saul refused to kill all of Amalek, which is the vampires of Scripture. Amalek translates roughly to vampire or blood liquor. So God himself was warning us about the same people that I'm telling you are now eating children in the Epstein files, referring to them as jerky. That's my opening statement.
Okay. So basically, but this debate is who's just so it wasn't, if it wasn't.
I don't actually know what you disagree with me on, Giovanni. So you have to.
Okay, so I can start with concerns regarding Jews in general. Quote: Jews are Nephilim. Are you
yes
promoting the idea?
See, God hates them. They're demons.
Are Nephilim fallen angels? Is that what they are?
No, Nephilim are the offspring of fallen angels and human women, or any other GMO human. If you mixed a monkey and a fish, you would get a Nephilim. That's
here's my concern. Yeah. Here's my concern. My first concern is that's impossible to prove. That's how do you verify that? There's no way to prove that. Who is the first? I would imagine you say that Cain is a child of Satan.
No, Genesis 6, where the fallen angels mated with human women. I don't subscribe to the Cain seed line theory, although I know many people who promote seed line theory do. I've actually debated against that. That's kind of a moot issue here.
Okay.
Fallen angels, Genesis 6, it's very clear. And then there were giants on the earth in those days and after, and we can show the bones in the cities they built.
Yeah. Okay. I'm warm towards the idea of genetic skullduggery, and I do take Genesis 6 literally, but it's a massive leap to go from Genesis 6 to say Jews are Nephilim. I honestly, there's no way to prove that either. I think that's just unfounded.
Well,
how do you say Jews are Nephilim? It just makes no sense.
They admit it in certain places, like
Who's
the Jews. For example, the Judaic Encyclopedia, certain editions admit that they are Edom, pretending to be Israel.
Do you have an actual source for that?
Yeah, let me pull that up for you.
Encyclopedia Judaica says that Jews admit they're Nephilim.
Yep. So I have an archive that I run. I'm just going to share the screen as I go through this. You guys can see what I'm looking at.
For a debate, there's just a little too much agreement right now.
Well, I definitely don't agree with
I'm glad we agree on that.
Okay.
And God warned us about Amalek. So in terms of, let's see, encyclopedia. For example, the Jewish Encyclopedia states that, quote, Edom is in modern Jewry.
Whoa, no, wait. First of all, not to step on you, pal. My first concern is Edomites are from Esau. They're not from Jacob.
Correct. They're just like Christ warned us, Esau, Edom, which mated with the Canaanite wives, Nephilim wives, just like Goliath after the flood. They were not human.
What, Nephilim wives? That's elite.
Esau mated with 2 Nephilim Canaanite wives. Yes.
No, I think you're making a leap from Canaanite to Nephilim.
No, Canaanites are Nephilim. That's why God hated them.
Not all Canaanites are Nephilim. Not all Canaanites are Nephilim.
Yes.
Canaan
had 6 fingers and was a giant.
That's not founded. I understand that, but it's like squares. Let me explain. Squares, all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles. To say that anyone who's a Canaanite is also a Nephilim, it's unwarranted.
Anyone who comes from a Nephilim father is a Nephilim, and Canaan was a 6-fingered giant.
It is. Well, and honestly,
that's
again,
that's King Og of Bashan, the sons of Anak, Goliath, etc. All of Goliath's brothers.
A minority of Canaanites. You cannot say that all Canaanites are Nephilim.
There were other Hamites living in the region of Canaan, but all the bloodline Canaanites, not region Canaanites, but bloodline Canaanites, all of them were Nephilim, which is why God curses them.
Okay.
Yes, there is. God says, quote, leave nothing alive, end quote, of their
in
babies.
No way does it say that all Canaanites are they.
God wants their babies killed. He says, leave nothing alive. Is God evil or does he hate monsters?
In that very narrow area. No way does it say all Canaanites are Nephilim. Let's just agree to disagree on that. That's okay. Let's just agree to disagree on that.
Well, it's quite simple. The sons of Anak, the Philistines, etc., all of the ones who came from, well, not all the Philistines, but the ones who came from the bloodline of Canaan, all of them are continually warned us. We're warned about them in Scripture.
That's a leap. And honestly, for me personally, go ahead.
Anyway, so real fast. We were warned about them continually through Scripture. In Judges 2, God tells us that the same tribes that Joshua failed to kill, remember, leave nothing alive is a quote from God, not Nemo.
Wait, can you give me the specific quote, Justin? What you keep saying, leave nothing
alive.
Give me the specific quote.
Leave nothing alive. That is the specific quote.
Is that from the Bible?
Yes, it is. God hates these things, including their babies. The only reason that God would say leave nothing alive of babies is because they cannot be saved. And then continuing on, God has a war with these things. He actually promises war with Amalek every generation. He promises destruction to Edom continually throughout the Bible, and their utter final destruction, the end of all Jews worldwide, in Obadiah 18.
Whoa. End of all Jews. How do we get to end of all Jews?
God said they're all going to die in Obadiah 18.
Where did God say it? Okay.
Jews are as Jesus and God continually warned us. I mean, John 8:33-44, for example, you're making me jump from one point to the next because it's like we're moving from Deuteronomy 20:16 where you're
also monopolizing the screen. Can you take your share down? I'm good. Take your share down.
Well, I'm answering questions as I go. Anyway, so in John 8:33-44, Christ himself warns us of people who are of Abraham, but not Israel, who admit that they're of Abraham, but he calls them of their father, the devil, who he calls basically infiltrators, pretending to be Israelites, teaching Talmud instead of Torah. He rebukes them with the harshest of terms. The savior of mankind who died for us calls them the generation of vipers, of their father, the devil. Basically just seed of the serpent over and over and over. Says, where I go, you cannot follow to them. Whitewashed tombs filled with unclean things. They're calling them demons, calling them seed of the serpent in public until they executed him for it.
All right. Can I answer that? Yeah. So you're conflating things. So John 8:33, he admits when he's having this dialogue with Jewish leadership, they answered him, "We are Abraham's seed. We've never been in bondage to anyone," which is why they're slaves of Rome. Why do you say you shall set us? You shall set us free. And Jesus said, "Hey, look, stop sharing. Stop sharing. You're monopolizing the screen. Stop sharing."
Do you want to share, Johnny? Want to share
No,
your?
I want this to just be he and I.
Okay.
Stop
I'm just sharing
sharing
the verse that you're reading.
No, I don't need you to share the verse. I didn't ask
The
you to share the
audience
verse.
might benefit from
Stop
that.
sharing
Okay.
because you're monopolizing the screen.
You're talking. I'm not talking.
Okay. Just can you bring the screen down because Johnny doesn't like the screen on. I can't share any screen because I'm not on Zoom. Well, I guess I could, but yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
My point is that Jesus is not saying that we have a conspiracy of literal Satan's seed and that anyone who is evil is of Satan's seed. He's talking spiritually. He's talking spiritually. He acknowledges, "I know that you're Abraham's seed," verse 37, "but you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you. You are of, I am telling you that I have seen with my Father what you are doing, you have seen from your Father." I submit to you that he's talking spiritually in the same way that he's mentioning in John chapter 6. He is not the door. He is not wanting you to eat his flesh. He's talking spiritually in the same way that it was mentioned in 1 John 3. Is Cain literally the child of Satan? No, because in Genesis 4:1, it's admitted. It's admitted. He's not the seed of Satan. He was obeying Satan as his master. As a matter of fact, going back to John 8, what does Jesus say specifically? He says, "You are a slave of sin." That is why I take it to be spiritually. You are not Abraham's seed because Abraham, what does it say in Hebrews? Abraham was the father of faith. We are talking spiritually.
This is not a spiritual connotation.
I think it's unwarranted.
Do you believe that God said, "Leave nothing alive"?
Hang on, I'll give you time. Hang on, I'll give you time. I think it's ridiculously unwarranted to say he's talking about some sort of genetic conspiracy. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't, because obviously it's clearly referencing patrilineal genetics to Abraham.
No, it's not. That's my point. Fact, that's how you take it.
And now I'm going to take the time to share the screen so people can actually read the verse that you don't want them to see. Let's read it in full. "I know that ye are Abraham's seed, just like Edom is. Esau is of Abraham, but not of Jacob Israel. But ye seek to kill me." Where's my screen share?
Because I told you stop sharing the screen. You're not sharing the screen.
It's my turn.
You got it. Just speak it.
No, share the screen or you're cheating. Are you going to
cheat?
How
am I cheating? You can speak.
It's my turn.
You're not monopolizing the screen. You're not monopolizing the screen.
Are you going to allow me to share my evidence?
No, I'm not going to allow you to share the screen and monopolize the screen. Go.
Thank you, Thank you, Fakeologist, for your time. I appreciate you folks. Have a great time.
Wait.
Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect. What a child. What a child. What a child.
Okay.
What an absolute child.
You didn't want.
There it is. What did we last? 15 minutes?
Did you? Okay.
I didn't want him to monopolize by sharing the screen. That's all it was.
Okay.
I didn't want to monopolize.
Was that a rule though, or I guess
it wasn't a rule. It wasn't a rule that he gets to share the screen. What a child. Let's go on with some of this. Let's go on with some of the stuff that
I can't even speak to any of this because I'm not a Bible reader.
No, it's absolutely ludicrous.
We didn't even get to any of the meat and potatoes.
Campfire stupid. He wants to make this some kind of weird Nephilim genetic. This is all. And so Tim,
how did we get down journalism? How do we get down that path?
Exactly. Yeah. How do we get down that path? How do we get then? We got down that path because he's not a real investigator. He's not a real journalist. He's a campfire story, coast to coast, QAnon.
Well, yeah, you know what I think of that.
Nephilim? Really? Nephilim? So here's some of the points I wanted to make.
I guess we'll open up our phone lines now that we lost our extra guest. If anyone wants to talk to Johnny Cirucci, you can.
From a Christian perspective, it is heresy to say that bloodlines dominate the salvation equation. It is absolute heresy. to claim that bloodlines dominate the salvation equation. Jeremiah 31, where it's promised through the prophet Jeremiah, hey, you guys used to say in relation to bloodline curses, the fathers eat sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. That wasn't even a bloodline curse. That was well, technically, I guess it is a sin bloodline curse. In other words, your fathers commit sins and your children pay the price for it. And Yahweh said through Jeremiah, in relation to the new covenant with Jesus, you will not say this. Each person will be judged according to their own responsibility. I think it is absolutely heretical to take all of this ridiculous, unwarranted to claim that Jews are demonic Nephilim offspring, and therefore they rule the world. Let's take one example, Black Rock. Everybody's, Black Rock, Larry Fink, Black Rock. Larry Fink. So he started Black Rock. Black Rock does what? They manage assets.
They manage money, of course.
They manage money. Do they own the money they manage? No. Do you know who one of the major clients of BlackRock is? The Vatican Bank. The Vatican Bank.
Everyone has BlackRock funds. I have BlackRock.
Big. They are big. So again, you're dealing with bankster pimps. You're not dealing with the banksters themselves, just like Epstein. Nobody looks above Epstein and who is financing him. Nobody looks below Epstein and who his clients were. It's all about taking the managers and shoving them into the spotlight because they're expendable. Okay? Same thing with the Rothschilds. He wants to use the Encyclopedia Judaica. The Encyclopedia Judaica says the Rothschilds were the fiduciary managers of the Vatican treasury. Very, very important, because for generations, the Vatican was making huge monies. The Templars, the Vatican special forces were making insane. The Templars were making more money than most countries. The Templars were making more money than most countries. And how were they doing that? Through usury. Here are some facts for you. Who created usury? Who were the original banksters? Jews? No. Templars and the Vatican. Templars and the Vatican. Look it up for yourselves. The Templars would enable, the Vatican had the unbiblical requirement for good Catholics.
Wait,
rich
Boris,
Catholics.
why are you done with Fakeologist? What did I do? I didn't hang up on anybody. So
No, he left. Dustin just left.
Boris says he's done. He's done with Fakeologist.
Because I wouldn't allow him sharing.
Yeah,
I asked him. I asked. He was monopolizing the screen with his shares.
Dustin,
and I asked him not
Dustin
to do that.
is in the chat. If he wants to come back, he can. So I don't know.
No, he's done. No, he wanted to be a child and leave. Go. You're done. Get out. You want to be a child and leave. You're done. I never wanted to do this in the first place. Go away. Now you can't say that I'm a coward. You're the child. You left. We're done here. I never wanted to do this in the first damn place. Now you're going to get my notes instead, and not your hours of stupid in relation to how Jews are literal demonic offspring and Nephilim. Ridiculous. You've got your venue. Go back to your venue and say whatever you want. You left. You hung up. Stay away. I'm done. I never wanted to do this in the first damn place. Now we're going to get real investigative journalism like the Khazars. You know who the Khazars are? You're absolutely right. You go out and claim they're not real Jews. They're not, because the Jewish Khazarians were genocided in 1000 AD by the Kievan Rus. You know who replaced them? The Genoese Doria black nobility came in and owns Khazaria as a colony. And this was the foundation for creating the fraud that is modern Israel. Who's going to tell you that? Who's going to tell you that? Who created banking and usury? Rome did. The Templars did. Where does the name bank come from? It comes from the Italiano Banco. It was the countertop that the Farnese, the Doria, the Medici did their business over. They created banking empires, not the Jews. They needed puppets. They needed managers. They needed managers to take the heat for the usury. They needed managers to come in and take the heat over the usury. And so they came up with this idea. So Rothschild, right? Came up out of nowhere. Oh, by the way, before I leave, BlackRock, they rule the world. I think rules the world. So they've been in business since what? 1588? 1688? No, 1988 is when Larry Fink supposedly started BlackRock. And now they rule the world. They're just managers. They manage assets. They're not the actual clients. They're not the players.
They don't rule the world. They own. They have one. They have the biggest management fund, but there are many others.
Managers. Right. They take the heat. They take the spotlight. That's the point. It's exactly what the Rothschilds, their Encyclopedia Judaica that he uses, exactly what they do. They manage the Vatican treasury. The Vatican does the usury, but it's the Rothschilds that take the heat. So how did the Rothschilds even become into play? You go in. So here's my point. It comes to my opening statement. You go on the internet. You go on alternative media. You go on any of these BitChute. Oh, he's got multiple certified channels on BitChute. Why? Because it's, what do they do? You told me earlier, Tim, they blame the Jews. Why do Rothschilds, by the way, Google's birthday, 27 September, that honors who? The Jews? It honors the Jesuits. In 2006, Google changed its birthday to 27 September to honor the Jesuits. Their birthday, by the way, in 1540, Alessandro Farnese of the banking Farneses, aka Paul III, created the Jesuits with the Papal Bull. So, where did the Rothschilds come up? How did they rise to power? We don't know. It's a myth. There is a myth that they crashed the London stock market because they had advanced warning of the Battle of Waterloo. Now, how do they do that? Who are experts on intelligence gathering? Is it the Jews or the Jesuits? Who was involved in the Battle of Waterloo? It was against Napoleon Bonaparte. Who was Napoleon Bonaparte's consigliere? A Roman Catholic priest named Joseph Sias. Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic priest named Joseph Sias. I submit to you, by the way, Napoleon Bonaparte was not French. He was Italian Roman Catholic, born and raised by Jesuits on the island of Corsica. He was a tool of the Jesuits his entire life before the Jesuits. Well, we have the French Civil War created by Jacobins. Jacobins were incognito Jesuits. Who had the inside information on what was going on? The mere fact that Napoleon Bonaparte struck out into Russia, which was absolute suicide for his army, was scripted, was absolutely scripted and fed to him. His job was to be the wrecking ball of civilization on behalf of Rome. And Rome desperately needed to have Patti step in the banking. They knew that Bonaparte was going to suicide his army because they told him to. They gave that advance warning. This is just my supposition, by the way. Nobody really knows how the Rothschilds skyrocketed in prominence. The myth is they broke the stock market with foreknowledge of Waterloo. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, if there's anything to that, here's my guess as to what was really going on. They needed to be empowered. They needed to take over the usury of Vatican banking, and the Jesuits and Rome fed them inside information. So real quick, by the way, Rothschild, what does that mean? Rothschild, red shield. Yeah. Tupper Saucy and his Rulers of Evil, phenomenal book. Everybody's got to have it. Rulers of Evil. What does he say? Meyer, Amschel, Rothschild und Son. Now, why would you create that? Why would you contort that to incorporate the name for your banking empire? What is that an acronym for? Meyer, Amschel, Rothschild und Son. Mm-hmm. Mars, the Roman god of war. Rothschild, right. Red shield, the shields that the Roman military carried into battle. Mars, the red planet, right? He's giving a tell. He's giving a poker tell of who he was really working for. And Tupper Saucy has a phenomenal story that he puts in Rulers of Evil in relation to the Vatican wanted to acknowledge how important the Rothschilds were in managing their money. They created, I think it was a special Jewish medal to give them, as opposed to the typical Vatican medal that has the Maltese cross. The Maltese cross, which is everywhere, acknowledged by everybody, that the highest award that you can get in the German military. The German military, what do they call it? The symbol. oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The roundel.
Oh, the roundel, yeah.
Roundel. The symbol for the Roman military is a Maltese cross. Has always to this day, the highest order of the Roman military, the German military, is the Iron Cross, a Maltese cross. When Hitler struck out into Russia, committing suicide, just as Napoleon Bonaparte committed suicide, he called it Operation Barbarossa. Redbeard, who was a Holy Roman Emperor. Okay, everything. The Third Reich was built out of Munich, which is a Jesuit stronghold. Everything came out of Munich. I've got sources that say that Heinrich Himmler was really running the show behind the scenes. I've seen an accusation that he was not only Catholic, which he was. Historical sources will acknowledge he's Catholic, but he may have even been an ordained Jesuit. As a matter of fact, there are open sources that acknowledge Hitler said, "Oh yes, he's my Ignatius of Loyola." That's openly admitted. How about the what put him on the map? My Struggle Against the Jews, written by a Jesuit, Bernard Stampfel, an ordained Jesuit. Bernard Stampfel ghost wrote Mein Kampf for Hitler.
Right.
So at every turn. So the Khazarians, oh my goodness, I was shocked when I found the connection of Khazaria, that the Khazarian Jews were wiped out, genocided in 1000 AD by the Kiev and Rus, the Slavs. And who came in and took over? The black nobility Doria family, the banking Doria family from Genoa. It's a fact. Just look it up. Just look it up. How insane is that? So all these people out there, oh, Khazars, they're not real Jews. The Khazars, yes, you're absolutely right. Where they come from? They come from Rome. Oh, and by the way, the very ludicrous idea that you've got a bunch of Khazars sitting around a campfire and they said to themselves, hey, you know what? We need to take over the world. And to do that, we want to impersonate the most hated religion and ethnicity that anybody would want to be. Let's all become Jews and we'll go to Israel and we'll take over the world. It's just ridiculous. What makes more sense? Does it not make more sense that you have an outside source that hates Jews, that fabricated a bunch of strangers and nobodies to make them Jews and put them into Palestine, to completely fabricate this massive pendulum? Love the Jews, hate the Jews. No, what makes more sense? Does that make more sense? Or a spiritual demonic Nephilim conspiracy, which, by the way, you can't prove.
What is it about the group of Christians, I guess, that believe in the Schofield Bible, where they believe that the chosen people need to go back to Israel? Do you know what this whole line?
It's all heresy. All heresy. These are Christians that have no understanding of their own Bible. Paul makes very, very clearly there's only one Israel today.
But this is a script that's playing out in front of us right now. That's why.
By design.
Yes.
By design.
So
there are Christians.
So the Christians are the majority of the people in the United States. It's not the Muslims. It's not the Jews. It's Christian. Is that correct? I know there's 3,000 denominations of Christianity.
If you loosely, even more so,
including Catholics.
Tim, if you define Catholics as Christians, which I don't do,
but they do.
Yes,
they do.
Yes, hands down.
So
and Tim, if you define Mormons and Catholics and Christian Scientists, if you define all those as Christians, sure.
So the majority of people believe that the chosen ones, the Jews, which they elevate and they admit, and they put them on this pedestal, and they make them afraid by telling everyone that people are going to attack them, but they have to do this work to be the chosen people.
Here's the crazy thing.
It works. This anti-Jew stuff works against the Jews more than everyone else.
Tim, it's a pendulum. You have on the phony right, you've got these phony Christians that at best are ignorant of their Bibles, saying we need another temple, we need to help the Jews, and that's on the one side. On the other side of the pendulum, oh, free Palestine, these damn Israelis, Netanyahu's Satan, these Jews. So you see the pendulum being swung back and forth, back and forth. Now here's the point, and going back to your earlier point in relation to Christianity, Tim, these Christians don't know their own Bibles. Paul says very clearly in Galatians chapter 3 and chapter 4, the only Israel that exists today is spiritual Israel. spiritual Israel. That's my point in relation to this ridiculous idea of Nemos that Jesus is telling Jews, you're of the literal seed of Satan. No, he's not. He says right there in John chapter 8, I say to you, whoever commits sin is a slave of sin. Is he talking about some sort of conspiracy of actual demons having sex? No, he's not. He's talking about spiritual realities in the same way that he does all of John chapter 6. The Catholics do the same thing. Do you know, Tim, that they mass murdered Protestants in relation to transubstantiation? If you as a Protestant, if you as a Christian do not agree with us, that during the Mass, the Eucharist becomes the literal body and blood of Christ, we will burn you alive. And Tim, there were thousands of Christians that would rather be burned alive than subscribe to the literalist Jesuit lunacy of Dustin Krieger Nemos, whatever his real name is. That's my point. John chapter 6, where Jesus says his disciples come to him and say, we can't accept this. Do you really want us to eat your flesh and drink your blood? And Jesus is saying, the words, there are words that are flesh and the words are spirit. I am telling you, same thing to Nicodemus when John chapter 3, the most important chapter in relation to the gospel. Nicodemus is being all smart aleck and saying, and Jesus says, hey, if you want to see paradise, you need to be born again. Nicodemus made the smart ass comment, what am I supposed to crawl back into my mother's womb and be born again? And Jesus is like, come on, dude. I'm talking to you about the spirit in the same way that you have to apply. You can't just cherry pick this in relation to Jesus telling these Jews that are doubting him, they are of the father, their father, Satan. It's all in relation to Satan owns you through sin. You are not his literal seed. And here's the crazy thing. There's no way to prove that. Dustin Nemos can say that as much as he wants. He's not a real investigator. He's not a real journalist.
Well, he's in the chat calling me out. I can't have you guys debate if he's not here.
I don't care.
If he's not here.
Go away. You left. You're a child. As a matter of fact, I'm just spending some time giving Tim his opportunity to take advantage of this. You want to be a child and say, if I can't monopolize the screen, I'm leaving. Go. I never wanted to do this in the first place. You're the one that said, if you don't do this with me, you're a coward. Go. I'm done. Okay. I'm just going to share with you real investigative journalism, BlackRock, Rothschild, Khazarians, real factual history.
Yeah.
Tim, do you have anything else you want to get to?
No, I just trying to respond. I don't know if you can see the chat on the restream.
Don't listen. You deal with him later. Bring him on your show. Let him spout off on your show. He makes this ridiculous claim that Jews run the media. Like who? How about like Conrad Black, Canadian media billionaire, Knight of St. Gregory, Knight of the Holy See, Claire Booth Luce, Dame of Malta, devout Roman Catholic, Gustavo Cisneros, Venetian Roman Catholic media mogul billionaire, Eugene John Paul Getty. Anytime you want a photograph, it's always copyrighted by Getty, especially if it has anything to do with the Vatican. John Paul Getty, non-Catholic oil family Gettys, hard Roman with Getty's birth off of Genoa. Oh, there's the Dorias in Genoa again. He went to St. Ignatius College Prep, University of San Francisco, also Jesuit. Bob Guccione. Oh, the Jews run pornographer. Yeah, right. Like Bob Guccione, who wanted to become a priest and instead went into pornography. Right? Randolph Hearst, right? Randolph Hearst, Knight of Malta. Leo Kirch, the German media billionaire mogul, devout Roman Catholic. Henry Luce, Knight of Malta. Mort Zuckerman, the Jew. Mort Zuckerman, the Canadian Jew billionaire, also a Knight of Malta. University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business, just like Donald Trump. Donald Trump trained by the Jesuits at Fordham and then over to the University of Pennsylvania, just like Donald Trump's mistress, his girlfriend. I mean, his daughter. Same thing, Ivanka. Right? She started off at Georgetown and then went to University of Pennsylvania. By the way, University of Pennsylvania is supposedly private, secretly run by the Jesuits. John McLean of McLean News, Canadian publishing elite. He's Freemason, not necessarily Catholic, Freemason. The number of managers that are in media that are actually Catholic or connect to the Catholic Church. Bannon, we talked about Bannon before. So you asked me, what we're talking about. You asked me about who steps in, who controls things. You've got Andrew Breitbart, the Jewish conservator. Oh, so we're talking about BitChute. We're talking about how BitChute started off being founded by a Jew, and now all you get on BitChute is Jews, Jews, Jews. Here's how they do it. They take a Jewish name like Zuckerberg, right? So they got Zuckerberg. Nothing more than a name in the face.
Yeah, I agree. Just a name in the face. I
Just
agree
a name
with
in the
that.
face.
Yeah.
You've got DARPA. You've got DARPA doing their social networking life log for a year right before Fakebook starts. And on February 4th, 2004, LifeLog stops, DARPA stops LifeLog, and then magically the exact same day, Zuckerberg creates Fakebook. Really? Really? So here's what's really going on. It was an intelligence gathering, a brilliant intelligence gathering operation.
That was very good. Very good.
What do they do? So rather than stealing, they've been doing it for years. The FBI had been doing it for generations. Who started the FBI? Charles Joseph Bonaparte, devout Roman Catholic, daily mass Roman Catholic, great grandnephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. Oh, it's the Jews. It's the Jews. They have been doing it. They have been keeping personal dossiers for generations. But the problem is they've got to steal the information. Hey, Tim, how about if they just encourage people by their own egos to volunteer personal details? That is the demonic genius of social networking.
Hey, listen, if anyone wants to call in and talk to Johnny, we'll keep him till 2:00. I'm sorry.
2:00. We'll go for another 20 minutes.
We'll go till 2, because now we don't have our debate, which could have lasted a little longer. But okay.
Yeah, and honestly, it was a mistake. I didn't want to. He's just pulling me into this, and the problem is, there's no way that it's an unfalsifiable fallacy. How do you prove that all Jews are Nephilim? You don't. It's a ridiculous idea, ridiculous theory. Dustin, you stay in your corner. I'll stay in my corner. I'll stay with real journalism, names, places, and dates. You stay over there with campfire stories and coast to coast. By the way, George Norrie, Roman Catholic, maybe Roman Catholic. That's what they want. They want you to get frothed up, love the Jews, hate the Jews, love the Jews, hate the Jews. I really don't want to be involved with it. There's really no debating it. Honestly,
but if they're running the world, all the Christians are letting them run the world. That's my point. So why are they? Do the Muslim nations let Jews run the country?
Home run. Hey, Tim, how about this? This idea of crypto Jews running the world. Do you know that there was an entire mechanism of back with the Middle Ages and the Inquisition that Tomás de Torquemada, the Spanish inquisitor, the ultimate inquisitor, do you know that he had a secret police? There was an issue, so they would take Jews, conversos. They would force them to convert to Catholicism. And then there were rumors that these Jews were open Catholics, but they would close their doors and they would practice their religion behind the scenes. We're not talking about some sort of secret power structure of politics and banking and just armies and wars. No. All they had was these little Jewish families from practicing their Jewish. That was too much to bear. Tomás de Torquemada had a secret police, and they call them Marranos.
Mm-hmm.
He rooted out the Marranos, the Jews that were secretly practicing their faith. They openly converted to Catholicism. He would send his secret police after them. He would torture them, and he would kill men, women, and children. As many as 13,000 Marranos did the Inquisition gather up, torture, and kill simply because they were practicing Judaism in secret. Now, if the Catholic Church was that on it, that vicious, that much wanting to control every aspect of Judaism, do you think today they would allow the Jews to take over the Catholic Church and rule the world? I don't think so. Think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Crypto Jews. Hey, who has it's in the congressional record, the fourth vow of extreme unction, the blood oath of the Jesuits. It's in the congressional record where Jesuits say, I will go underground and impersonate my enemies. And I will always be careful when I get into a debate with somebody like Dustin Nemos, because we never know. He might be a Jesuit. I'm on one side, he's on the other side, and we're all Jesuits. We're saying the same things. You've got guys like Steven Anderson, this clown like Steven Anderson, who was a regular guest on the now defunct Alex Jones show, a nobody Baptist pastor saying the most insane, ridiculous, offensive things. Who was he? He was a Baptist pastor.
So you think he was a Jesuit?
I am absolutely convinced that he was a Jesuit playing a role.
Right.
Just one example of the many. A Jesuit playing a role. You got a guy like
is Alex Jones a Jesuit playing a role?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And listen, here's how serious I am about it. Absolutely ridiculously insane that the crisis actors of Sandy Hook would file a lawsuit against Alex Jones.
That's right.
And be granted $1.5 billion when Alex Jones, supposedly whoever Alex Jones actually is, I don't believe it's his real persona. What harm did he do? Did he commit a crime? Did he even go boldly, like I will say, that nobody really died at Sandy Hook?
Nobody died. Nobody got hurt.
Nobody died at Sandy Hook. As a matter of fact, I will go beyond that, and I will say that
how could that be a crime for saying that?
$1.5 billion worth. I believe that this is the CIA scripting his exit.
Absolutely.
This was they realized.
I think InfoWars is probably going bankrupt on its own.
On its own, Tim. Home
right.
run.
Yeah,
Home
of
run. Nobody's
course.
watching them.
Well, guess
They're
what?
defunct.
He just started another network, so that's what you do when you go bankrupt. You start a new one
from the beginning. Tim, from the beginning, they were a thing back in the 90s. They were a thing back in the 90s.
Yes, it was a big thing. It was a big thing. It was an alternative news network.
Nobody's watching it. Nobody takes him seriously anymore. They scripted his out with this. And now, if this is true, think of the power they have to control the courts to get them to participate in this theater. Unless
they're using a CIA court, which is just a pretend court. I think there are CIA courtrooms in every courthouse.
Sure. But Tim, think of the power to impersonate a court.
That's what I mean.
That's pretty powerful too.
That is very powerful because obviously the real court doesn't care.
Right. Where are the real? Where's the actual Justice Department saying this is not a real court? You can't say
exactly.
this.
Where were they during the OJ trial?
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That was court TV.
Right.
So you're right.
Right. And Kardashian isn't Kardashian Jesuit trained? Kardashian's Jesuit trained, right? Wasn't he one of the lawyers?
If you have an impersonator impersonating you, it's your duty to expose them and say this is not us. This is not the court system. Unless you think your life is
at stake. Unless you think you'll be killed for saying that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Where are all my notes? All right.
And what if they did change the Alex Jones persona anyway, and now they have a new character playing, a new person playing that role, and that's why he's got his own.
Oh, the mere fact that you have this clown.
He got his new company. Tim, he has a new company, AlexJonesLive.com.
The mere fact that you have this clown Collins, who owns The Onion, and he's trying to take over InfoWars.
That is a clown show.
So it's much worse than that as far as I'm concerned, Tim. This is an intelligence operation. What they do is they get guys like you and me that are skeptics of the official narrative, and then they feed us what we want to hear and read and see.
Yeah.
And then they put something ridiculous in the bottom.
And then we look like fools.
This is fake news, and you bought it.
Yeah.
This is from The Onion. This is from the Babylon Bee.
That's right. And that's what they do. And then when we've told everyone, we look like fools.
Right. We cite this article, and it turns out the article is fake news from the Babylon Bee, fake news from The Onion, and they completely discredit everything we ever said and did. And now this clown Collins wants to come over and take over info. That's what InfoWars always was in the first damn place. Okay. Did anybody talk about? Did Alex Jones talk about the statue of St. John of Nepomuc that guards the entryway into Bohemian Grove with his finger on his lips? The Roman Catholic statue of St. John of Nepomuc with his finger over his lips? No, he never talked about that. As a matter of fact, we got people that say they've actually been there. He promotes this idea that he crashed Bohemian Grove and saw.
That was all nonsense. Like the guys that visited Epstein Island. I don't even think that exists.
Right.
That's another prop.
Nobody ever back to Bohemian Grove, there are people that say they have been victims, they've been there, and it's not a play. They actually are sacrificing children. They actually are sacrificing babies. I can't speak to that, but it makes sense to me. It makes sense that it was watered down in the same way that the Epstein scandal is watered down.
I don't even know what did anyone do? What was the actual wrongdoing in this Epstein, which I think is a phony affair? What was the what was the problem?
Absolutely scripted.
I know, but if they're 18-year-old girls that are trying to get acting gigs and what is the problem? There's no, where's the illegality? 18 is the legal age of consent, and actually it's lower than that in most states, is it not?
Right. Home run. That's what makes it scripted.
So nobody died, nobody got hurt, nobody was doing anything. Okay, it's not moral to do that if you're implicated, so it makes you look stupid. But there are no charges for that.
The purpose is to dance as close to the fire without jumping.
That's right. Yeah. So it implies that all these people are guilty. Guilty of what? What are they guilty of? Bad behavior?
Prince Andrew is the only one because he's an idiot. Prince Andrew is the only one who was guilty, right? He's the only one.
But guilty of what, though? How old was that girl that he was allegedly running around?
18,
she was 18.
17,
so
18.
That's immoral.
Right. Hey, Tim, as opposed to what really goes on, the so-called Franklin cover-up, which is the Boys Town cover-up, 8, 9, 10-year-old little boys being forcibly sodomized and trafficked by the Roman Catholic Church out of Boys Town.
Yeah. Were people actually charged in that one?
Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. As a matter of fact, the only one that was charged, 2 people were charged. Alicia Owen, the rare girl involved, she was charged with perjury. She was charged with trying to be a whistleblower, and the courts and the FBI went after her instead. Lawrence King was charged with financial misdeeds. He wasn't charged with any trafficking at all. He was charged with financial misdeeds.
Right. They always get you in the money. Yeah, they get you with the money.
Right. He was misusing Boys Town Vatican money rather than trafficking young boys, which is exactly what was really going on out of the so-called Franklin. Why do we even call it the Franklin cover-up? Because an almost priest, an almost monk by the name of John DeCamp, who was the CIA, the attaché, the aide de camp of Colby. I keep getting Colby and Casey mixed up because they're both Catholic and they're both CIA directors. Colby, right? At this time, Colby was the CIA Saigon station chief during the Vietnam War, in charge of the Phoenix Project. Kill, maim, and destroy outside of Vietnam. It was illegal, run drugs, and we'll do it anyway. And you know who his helper was? John DeCamp, the same guy that made the Franklin cover-up famous for being the Franklin cover-up and not the Boys Town cover-up. John DeCamp said in an interview, I was talked to by the prefect for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith, also known as Nazi Joseph Ratzinger, Nazi youth Joseph Ratzinger, who would later go on to become Benedict, whatever, 13, 16, Benedict 16. I was told, hey, we need to get a handle on this. These boys have been taken out of Boys Town. We need to put the kibosh on that. We need you to flippity-flu and turn in Franklin. Franklin was the federal credit union that Larry King, the pimp, was working in. Boys weren't coming out of the federal credit union. They were coming out of the Roman Catholic orphanage. You've never heard of Boys Town? The Jews at Metro Goldwyn Mayer all the way back in like 1934 was giving them free propaganda with Roman Catholic Spencer Tracy portraying the wonderful priest. And I can't remember the name of the short guy that played a kid in the movie. Anyway, Catholic, of course. Why would the Jews give such propaganda just free? How many movies promote Catholicism and how many movies paint Catholicism in a negative light? None that I know of. Every once in a while, you get something about, exorcism or what, and even that paints them in a happy, proper light. None of them do. They all paint Christianity in an evil light. Anybody that you have somebody that is a born again or a Protestant Christian, they're always what comes to mind. A couple of military movies. Zulu, you've got the Christian missionary in Zulu that is absolute a-hole. obnoxious. He gets everybody to leave. You just want to just beat him up. Then you remember Dirty Dozen, Telly Savalas and Dirty Dozen? He's a Christian. He's a racist. He's a psycho. He destroys the mission. That's how Hollywood portrays Christians. They never portray Catholics in a negative light. Why? Because the Catholic Church wrote the motion picture code. A collared ordained Jesuit, Daniel Aloysius Lord, wrote the motion picture code, and they quickly slapped on somebody else's name on it. Hayes. They switched it to the Hayes Code. Absolute fact. Motion Picture Association. I was digging this up. Remember the banking bubble, the housing bubble that happened in the 2008 massive crash that was caused by Chris Dodd and homosexual Jew Barney Frank. Chris Dodd from the feudal Dodd family. Chris Dodd's father was Thomas Dodd, a senator, FBI, devout Roman Catholic. Thomas Dodd was at Nuremberg with Jesuit priest Edmund Walsh to make sure the Catholic ties between the Nazis, the Third Reich, and the Vatican were erased. I've got the picture I can show you of Thomas Dodd, Senator Thomas Dodd.
Yeah, show me the picture.
You got it.
If you got it. By the way, I went to
I got it colorized.
I went to Infowars.com. It's off the air. It's down. The website's over. And AlexJones.live.com is now born with the new, improved, different looking Alex Jones. So it looks like it was just a bankruptcy moved into a new company.
They're still milking him. Still milking him. Here we go.
And he's your official conspiracy nut.
Yeah, right. No, his job is
to make doubters look bad.
Right.
And it works.
Right.
Because he talks about similar things that we talk about, or at least I talk about.
And he does it in a ridiculous way.
Right. It's an unshareable way.
Right.
You can't tell people.
You're not going to convert a blue pill normie by watching Alex Jones, which is exactly what his job was.
Absolutely.
Exactly what his job was.
And he's still doing it.
Yeah.
And he catches people because he's top of the pop. So when you're searching, you find his stuff. That's how I found out about the 9/11 event, through him. I have to give him credit. I left
Rush Limbaugh and Irish Catholic Sean Hannity, Irish Catholic Bill O'Reilly. I got sick of them in the 90s because they obviously were shills. And I went to Alex Jones and I stayed with him for about a week and a half when it became obvious that his job was to be a buffoon. By the way, in this picture, the guy in the bow tie, this is Connecticut Senator, FBI man Thomas Dodd, devout Roman Catholic, and the guy in the military uniform is a Jesuit priest, Edmund Walsh. Edmund Walsh, the namesake of the Edmund Walsh School of Foreign Service. I've got another one for you. Here he is in Nuremberg after the United States destroys Germany. Okay. And here he is in Tokyo with Freemason Douglas MacArthur, restructuring Japan after the United States crushes Japan.
Yeah,
the United States was the hammer, and Rome was the invisible hand behind it. Rome stepped in, and through the United States government, controlled it all. Restructuring. Japan and Germany were the enemies of Rome. Germany, the Jesuits never forgive and never forget. They never forgave for the Reformation. They wanted to absolutely destroy Germany as a result.
I believe that, yeah.
The Japanese, so does anybody see the Scorsese movie Silence? It was all about Nagasaki. Nagasaki. What was the big deal about Nagasaki? Nagasaki was the port city that the Jesuits were evicted from. The last thing the Jesuits saw when they were evicted out of Japan was the port city of Nagasaki. Why were they ejected out of the port city of Nagasaki? Because they were found to be a military insurgency. And the Japanese shoguns and the Japanese aristocracy said, wait a minute. You're not out here promoting Jesus. You're trying to overturn our government. You're trying to turn us over. I was just doing research before the show. Have
Wow.
you seen Shogun? You
I don't-
remember the
Yeah.
miniseries, the TV miniseries?
Yeah, I remember
Shogun?
it. I don't think I watched it,
The
but
book is even better. The book is even better. There is a critical moment that takes place that borrows itself from real history.
okay.
When Blackthorn, who is an English navigator, an English pilot, he's captured. He's in Japan. Japan is literally owned and run by the Portuguese and the Jesuits.
Mhm.
There is a critical moment where Blackthorn is instructing Lord Toranaga and tells him, did you know that you are a vassal of Portugal according to the Pope? Which Pope? Alexander VI, aka Rodrigo de Borgia. Did you know that Rodrigo de Borgia said, whether you know it or not, you belong to Portugal? The line of demarcation, Rodrigo de Borgia, Alexander VI. By the way, Alexander VI, one of the most decadent, perverse men to ever sit in the papacy. Black nobility, Borgia, Doria, De Medici, Aldo Brandini. Nobody's heard of these names.
No, not
They're
enough.
the real controllers. They're the real controllers. So de Borgia, aka Alexander VI, divided the earth in half. He gave half of the earth to Spanish Spain and the other half to Spanish Portugal. And of course, he ignored England and the Netherlands at that time because they were Protestant, superficially Protestant. And it's a great moment in the book, and I don't remember if it's actually in the miniseries as well, where he shocks Toranaga with this realization: you don't even realize you were owned by Portugal, and Portugal is owned by the Catholic Church. And this is a shocking moment. And so Toranaga steps in and he uses Protestant England through Blackthorn as a wedge against Jesuit-run Portugal. Great moment, absolutely true, based on real history. That's the power. Oh, it's the Jews, Johnny. It's the Jews.
Reality Witnesses. Johnny should go on Tudor's show. Who's Tudor? I don't know.
Tudor Alexander.
Oh,
Tudor and
Alexander.
Tudor Alexander, we have a love-hate relationship. He's a great guy. He's got great information. He is impossible to deal with. I love him to death, but he's just such a prickly personality.
Oh, okay. I never heard of him.
Yeah, no. He and I, we have done collaborations. He's come on my show, and we did a roundtable recently.
Oh, really?
Very pleased with how that turned. Yeah. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Very pleased with how that turned out. So, all right, we're at 2:00, and I'm drained and I'm sweating like a pig. Love you, pal. Appreciate you. I'm sorry it ended it the way it did. I just wanted him to not monopolize. So you understand my point of view. If he's controlling the screen and he's dominating the screen with whatever it is he's sharing, then he's controlling the narrative. And I just wanted him to promote his points on his own
No, I get
without
it.
dominating, because it was an unfair advantage.
Well, I just so people know,
I don't do debates. This is why I don't.
just so people know, I don't control the screen sharing and the Zoom, because that's Johnny's platform.
No.
So just so
God
people
bless
know,
you.
because they were, if you were trying to accuse me of not moderating, well, I only had very limited moderating abilities. I couldn't even change the sound.
Tim did me a personal favor, coming to my Zoom to moderate this on my behalf.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do this at all. I was childishly blackmailed. If you don't do this debate, I'll call you a coward, dude. Okay, we're done. You can't call me a coward, but you can say that I screwed you. Whatever, it's good. You go there with the ridiculous campfire bullshit of how all Jews are Nephilim, and I'll stay here with names, places, and dates. De Borgia, Rothschild, Doria, Camfilge, Sacchetti. Oh, is it Goldman Sachs or is it Aurelius Sacchetti? The real banking families. Banco, the countertop, the Italian, the derivation of the Templars creating usury banking. Anyway, Tim, love you. I don't want to do too many debates, but happy to come to your house just to talk again if that's what you want at some time in the future.
No, I think you do best on your own, to be honest with you.
That, okay?
I think you do best on your own, not.
I do too. I agree. And just let me throw out some names, places, and dates. You take that, look it up on yourself, make your own decision. Okay. I don't want to compete with somebody else because it's just too contentious.
Now, why the question people
want?
Pal,
love you, man. Appreciate you.
One more thing. Can you hear me? Hello?
Sure. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I thought you froze there. Why?
Yeah, I got you.
So why does the Catholic Church allow this to keep going on, that the Jews are running the United States, that Israel's running Trump? Why is it just so they are hiding behind the Jews so they don't have to take any heat?
Absolutely.
So they're
Punching
never
bags.
so they're
the
not
punching bags. Listen, if people are being frothed up, Tim, love the Jews, hate the Jews, love the Jews, hate the Jews, they're not taking the time to rationally investigate what's really going on. Real quick, this lunacy in Iran.
Yeah,
this
go ahead.
lunacy in Iran. I will tell you from a military veteran perspective.
Yeah, what is happening there?
So,
because Iran doesn't have a military. So what's happening?
There is no reason whatsoever for the United States military is on par with no one. There is no reason whatsoever to partner. So my higher up comes to me and says, listen, we got a problem. We need to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. They're a danger to everybody. And so we want to create a ridiculous war so we can drive gas prices back up to $5 a gallon for any ridiculous excuse. And we're going to go to war with this Muslim nation. And rather than Skull and Bones Bush 41 or Skull and Bones Bush 43, we're going to not have a big coalition of partners. We're going to have one partner, Jewsreal. We're going to partner with Jewsreal, and we're going to go to war with Iran. And my response as a military veteran would be, are you out of your ever-loving mind? You purposefully have one purpose, and that is to polarize the world. There is no reason whatsoever. And here's another proof. It's absolutely intuitive. Think about this from the Israeli perspective. If you owned and ran Romerica, the last thing you would want to do is take point on a war and have Romerica behind you. What you would want to do is get back under your rock and have America be your bully for you, and you disappear. Does that make more sense, as opposed to you taking the spotlight and saying Jewsreal and Romerica together are going to war against the Muslims of Iran, the Ayatollah of Iran, to stop nuclear weapons? Are you kidding me? It's so obvious, insanely obvious. And Tim, you've got these idiots out there pushing, they're pushing videos on the official YouTube. You've got Donald Trump with an executive order changing the Secretary of Defense to the Secretary of War. Who's the Secretary of War right now, Tim? Pete Hegseth.
Knights of Malta.
Yeah.
Knight of Malta, Pete.
With the Templar titties.
Right. Yeah.
Templar titty Hegseth. A huge Knight of the Holy Sepulchre tattoo, iconography.
Yeah.
It's the Jews. It's the Jews. His vice president, J.D. Vance, who runs Rumble. If you get kicked off of YouTube, you go to Rumble. Who runs Rumble? Homosexual Peter Thiel, who his mentor was a devout Roman Catholic socialist, and open Roman Catholic J.D. Vance, who is the vice president of the United States. Wait a minute. The co-founder of Rumble is the vice president of the United States? Oh, it's not CIA. It's not Jesuit. It's Jews. Just stop.
Do you want to take one phone call?
We can do it real quick, and then we got to go.
Okay, one phone call. We'll keep Johnny for a few more minutes.
3 minutes,
okay.
10 seconds.
Caller, where are you calling from? What's your name?
Brian in Washington.
Brian, do you have a question for Johnny Cirucci of JohnnyCirucci.com?
Hi, Johnny. We've talked before, and I basically said the same thing last time.
Mm-hmm.
There are a fair amount of people trying to figure this out with some discernment. Do you ever intend to look into the possibility that the Jesuits, the Pope, and the Jews are conspiring? They are collaborating. One is also the other. And what would be very beneficial to the big PSYOP is for those that never looked into Nikki Rapana saying, pick a side, blame the Jesuits, ignore the Jews. This is their plan. Fight amongst ourselves over completely unimportant subject matter. So I'm sorry that you've never looked into Nikki Rapana and her books with her daughter, which is Nordica, that Tim has interviewed. I'd recommend you go back to Tim's interview of Nordica Frederick. Once you realize what communitarianism is, then you can see how you're falling into this and or promoting the PSYOP. Any response?
Sure. Yeah, I absolutely disagree. So if you look at what we have, we don't have two equal parties blaming Jews versus Jesuits. We have an overwhelming preponderance of Jews, Jews, Jews. From my perspective and the research that I've done, the dialectic, the paradigm is exactly as it was at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Jewish leadership going to Pontius Pilate with their yarmulkes in hand saying, hey, this upstart Jew, this upstart rabbi is threatening our power structure. Would you please kill him for us? His blood be on us and our families. The real power, here's why this is important, Brian, and why I also disagree with you. From my perspective as a military veteran, it's critical that we understand who is expendable and who is not. What is the head of the hydra that won't grow back? It is my purview that if we go after Rome as the actual, here's when I never got a chance to ask Dustin Nemos. Okay, it's all Jews and all Jews and Nephilim, and they're the ones behind it all. What's your solution? Is it Jim? And I got Jim on this. Round him up, Rizzoli. Jim did admit to this. Round him up, Rizzoli. Round him up, dude. Are you serious? You can't do that. This has to be rule of law. You base it on criminal acts. I submit to you, you round up all the Jews, even if you go after Freemasonry. Now, if you go after Freemasonry, you will handicap the system, but you won't tear it down. It is my purview that if you go after the Catholic Church, specifically the leadership, you will end it all. You will win the war. And that's why it's so important. And back to your original, Brian, is, dude, nobody's out there saying what I say. This is just you right now getting caught up in the moment. It looks like Dustin versus Johnny. It's not. Johnny spoke up. Johnny got wrapped into being the only guy that's saying it's not the Jews. Everybody out there is Jews, Jews, Jews. It's the Jews. That's my point. They're the expendables, and the Roman Catholic Church is the head of the hydra that won't grow back, taking these Jews, shoving them in the spotlight. BlackRock, a great example. They are fiduciaries. They're managers. Rothschilds, they are managers. Epstein was a pimp. He's a manager. They're all expendables shoved into the spotlight. All right, I gotta go.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Thanks for
that's
calling
unfortunate, Donnie. You'll have to come back so I can.
Oh, I got you, bud. I got you. You're a good guy, and Tim is a great guy. Appreciate you.
You're saying that I have a very limited amount of information in my head. Republican Broadcasting Network's been around for 20 years. You think
I got you,
Jesuits...
Brian, thank you, pal. Thank you. I gotta go. Tim.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Johnny. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll be back next. When will we? Johnny left. Okay, we'll be back tonight with Prophet of Fiction since we only did an hour. And maybe, Do It Selzy says maybe it's a third group. Yeah, maybe. Well, Lynn says City of London. I'm open to that. Listen, I didn't really control this debate. It was really I was just the host. And even my bells didn't work on the Zoom. I didn't want to do Zoom, but apparently that's the only way Johnny can do a meeting with his setup because he's not a technical guy. Did that bell come through? Let's just see if my bell was working on my end because he said he couldn't hear it. Let's just play it here. Hold on a sec. I want to make sure it works. If you can hear the bell. There, I see the bell. So the bell came through on my system, but not on Johnny's Zoom. So anyway, that's what happened today. I just agreed because I always like to try and get some counterpoints to it's the Jews all the time because I get tired of it myself. I think it's a psyop. Doesn't make sense in a completely Christian Protestant world, Catholic world, but that they're running everything. And I've been saying the same thing unpopularly wise since 2012, since I started. And maybe we'll get Dustin back on because I've never heard of Dustin because I'm not really into that area of the internet. But maybe if he wants to do a debate, we can bring on southernprotestant.com, who's also one of the very few people that says it's not the Jews. And he has much information. So maybe that would go better. Although all these personalities like Johnny and Dustin and Drake, they don't seem to want to talk to each other specifically. They want to get their story out, and they don't want to debate the fineries. And it's not as easy as it looks to get two or three really strong personalities to come on. I added the dimension of adding Drake to this conversation, but Johnny doesn't like Drake. So that really went south. Johnny got all bent out of shape on that. So that's why Drake didn't even come in today, although he wasn't the original plan. I just thought I'd ask the question. And so Johnny didn't want him either. So again, I am not the one that really steered the screen. I personally didn't have a problem with the screen share, but I couldn't do anything about it because Johnny would have probably left just as fast as Dustin had I tried to interfere with the screen share. To me, it didn't make a big deal. I wouldn't have made a big deal on either end. Dustin made a big deal that he couldn't share it, and Johnny made a big deal that he did share it. And Johnny had the Zoom controls, of which I do not have any control. I was just a guest on that show. So it was like two shows that were merged together, and I didn't have control over the Zoom room. So that's what happened. So I don't mind doing this, hosting these things, but they rarely go anywhere or go very well. So I hope people understand that. And sorry that it ended quickly. Wouldn't be the first show that ended really quickly. So obviously, for anyone coming to get any kind of insight into this debate, you would have been fairly disappointed. So just let you know that I do entertain all ideas for the most part. I have my biases like everyone else does and probably should. And I also don't usually do a show at this time of the day, especially when the sun is out. So now I am going to say goodbye and come back probably around 8:30 p.m. tonight. We'll talk to the Prophet of Fiction. And if he's willing to move it to tomorrow, I'll move him to Monday. So just a little quick show note on that, if you guys don't mind. And that's about it. If you like this show, fakeologist.com/donate. And I want to thank Anonymous $33 who sent that in a couple days ago. I would have given that person credit, but I usually ask if how they wanted their name to be shown on the screen. And when I did, they say they'd rather not be known at all. Okay, that does happen. So I respect all donations. If you want your donation to be anonymous, send it to me by a Bitcoin. There's no way to figure that out. And if you use the main screen, fakeologist.com/donate, if you use that screen, you can click on anonymous as well. So I'll get the message that it's an anonymous donation, and I will absolutely put anonymous on the donation page. So there you go there. So somewhere on there, you can buy me a coffee, Ko-Fi, send me a Satoshi. I think someone sent me one Satoshi, which is not even 1 penny. So you can use that system there. That's the Bitcoin wallet. Monero, which I don't use. I should probably take that off. And yeah, so that's over there, and your name will show up in lights on this page right here for if you make a donation. Mostly you see single amount donations, but you can make it a recurring donation like up here. So thank you to all the recurring donors, especially the ones that have been doing it for a long time. And there's some like Curvy Sexford Lady. He's been donating for years, and he was even a co-host for a while. Hopefully we'll have him back real soon. So yeah, thank you all these recurring donors. You help pay for the FakeoTube server, and I will be sending some Bitcoin to the operator of the server. after this show. So thank you so much again for coming by, everyone. We had 33 live listeners over here on YouTube. We had let's see, on X we had about 20, and Johnny had a bunch. And I'm really sorry that the whole debate didn't go on. I could have predicted it probably, but I thought I'd try. Anyway, thanks again, everybody, and we will probably see you tonight or tomorrow night. And don't forget fakeologistforums.com. Hey, don't forget our Discord. We've had some great conversations on the Discord. They're still going on right now on our Discord. Go to shortfake.com/Discord, and you can join the Discord. And we have all kinds of conversations over there. We had a new participant from England come by, and it just shows that anyone can have a conversation. And I actually did get one email complaining about this microphone. Can you believe that? Let me just read the email. I won't say who sent it. Here we go. I respect you, but this comes from an email address that starts with the word Fox, which is 666. I respect you, but your new mic setup makes you sound fake as F, as they say. I realize your show's not about being genuine specifically, but it's still at least pseudo-ironic to pair such opposites, criticizing the world stage puppets, while at the same time sounding exactly like an overfunded F-face podcaster with overamped audio. Be real. Just have a humble microphone with no equalizer mods. That's what us real humble people are doing. God bless you. Okay. I just like good sound. And if that means over compressing, then so be it. Because it really, to me, is soothing to the ear. And it might sound fake. I get what you're saying. But I have to admit, when I'm listening to different podcasts, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, when I hear a good microphone, I stay tuned because I really like the sound of the microphone. And it doesn't even matter what they're talking about. If the sound is good and it's coming through really clear and clean on the speaker, I stay tuned. So I'm just giving you what I like. So if you guys don't like this microphone, let me know. I'd be really fascinated because usually it's the opposite. Your microphone is low. You sound bad. You sound high. You sound low. I haven't totally finished tuning this, but I think I got a pretty good setup right now. So let me know at ima@fakeologist.com. Send me an email if you don't like it. I personally like it. So I just wrote back, thanks for the feedback, but I like good sound, and I think I sound pretty good. And then he wrote back, I wasn't calling you any of those things, by the way, only that morning show / high timber equalizer effects strike me as bombastic. But never mind my opinion. Some people like the Mona Lisa and others a mermaid by Waterhouse. I am glad you're happy with your new setup. Anyway. So I love the feedback. All feedback is welcome. So if you got a problem with anything I'm saying or doing, let me know. I'm fine with it. And I'm sorry again that today's show was a bit of a bomb. But it doesn't seem like these debates go very well. So I apologize. But we'll try again. We will try again. We'll try the Southern Protestant. I'd like to have Southern Protestant back on with Johnny, but I don't think he'll do that either. Shortfake.com/Discord will not accept my invite. Well, let's just try it. Let's try it ourselves. So we'll go here. Shortfake. Maybe there's some problem with it. Discord. You should get this screen right here. So it does work. So you got to put your name to create an account. If you already have an account, you just click log in. and you can log into your Discord account. That's it. So it does work. Shortfake.com/Discord. It does work. And you can see here, there are 32 people online, and we have 248 members. This is our 9th server. The first 8 got blasted away by Discord. They don't seem to be censoring anymore. So we've been going good. We've been going well since 2022, I believe. So it's been about 3 or 4 years. So we've had no issues with whatever fake story they make up. Okay. We will see you guys later. Thanks for joining. And I'll probably render this show later. Of course, it's on YouTube. I don't know, Tommy Rogers, what to tell you. What are you getting on your screen? Send me a screenshot and maybe I'll try and figure it out. If you have a Discord account, I really don't know what to tell you. If you send me your, I don't know if I can accept friend requests if you're not on my server. Not really too sure what else to tell you, how to join our Discord. I can put an invite link, but that is an invite link, shortfake.com/Discord. Send me a screenshot of what you're experiencing, and I can ask the community, or you can take a screenshot and ask the bots. Ask one of the bots what's going on. That's all I can tell you. All right, over and out. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.